Jimmy was not a rapper then.
Right.
He was your man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
So when Ballin' took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks.
50 Cent just set his sights on Jim Jones, and the way this whole situation is spiraling, it's starting to feel less like a rap debate and more like a heavyweight match in slow motion. It all started when Jim sat down with Fat Joe and Jadakiss on their podcast. And instead of paying homage to a certified legend,
yeah, I just seen the Breakfast Club. Jimmy popping all that bull. I be seeing Jimmy talking about, we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about, we Gucci boo boo. The Black King niggas was going fuck up. Jimmy, they was like, Marita Monero.
He decided to throw lyrical grenades at Nas. He didn't just talk slick. He straight up claimed he's a better rapper than Nas and that he's done more for the culture than Nas ever could. That's not a light claim. That's a seismic statement.
He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally, he had one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked, and I knew, I just took the shot, Murder, to see, because I wasn't sure he was going to go for it. Mm-hmm. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you got to watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, he really like that. Like, give me this, give me Jimmy. Yeah, tell him we want him. We want you at the show, Jimmy. Yeah, but that was one of those things I just threw it out and see what. And then when he bit to it, because it was like he was having a moment that not sure that was going to ever happen again at that point. And then he's going, for them, they had records that were, look, I always said it's to certain artists, I go, damn, when is he going to have his moment? Like, Fab, I said.
Especially coming from someone who grew up idolizing the man he's now trying to son. Jim looked dead serious too. No jokes, no playing around, just pure ego. And of course, 50 Cent caught wind of it. You know 50, he doesn't let anything slide. He went on his platform clowning Jimmy like only he can. He mimicked the way Jim's always hanging out in Gucci stores saying, Jimmy be in there like, we Gucci, boo, thinking he on some Black King vibes, like he about to rewrite history. The tone wasn't playful, it was surgical. 50 made it clear he saw through the act. In his eyes, this wasn't confidence, it was a puppet show. And the strings?
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy
big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying, Nas is like a god.
In my era too. I mean,
so
well,
to be compared,
let me
that young kid out.
He was young, and we loved that he loved Jim Jones. I want you to break it down.
Let's break this down. I admired Nas, but remember Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Allegedly being pulled by none other than Jay-Z. See, that's where things get strategic. 50 isn't just roasting for fun, he's accusing Jim of being Jay-Z's pawn in some bigger industry chess game. According to Fifth, Jay's the one benefiting from this sudden anti-Nas rhetoric. For years, Jim was clowning Jay, beefing with Rockefeller, dragging his name in interviews, and now suddenly,
so Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation. We talking about 94, 93, I was in 11th grade. Nigga, it's 2025. There's a big gap there, you know what I mean? And I want people to understand that, so when Shorty's telling people that, yeah, he's 20-some years old, that goes to show the part of the era that he's in, that I came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though. But
You know what I mean?
a lot
Like-
of them.
He's riding for Jay like he's big brother? That switch up don't smell right. Fifth even hinted that this was one of those throw it out there and see who bites situations. He tested the waters, and Jim bit down like he hadn't had a headline in a minute. It was almost like he was waiting for this moment, like a spotlight he thought might never shine again. But to understand how crazy this is, you gotta rewind the tape. The tension didn't start on Fat Joe's podcast. It's been brewing quietly for years. During the podcast, Joe mentioned how some younger fans online were comparing Jim Jones to Nas, saying Jim had more cultural impact and hits in their generation.
But I hear the comparisons and the nigga be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this. I'm talking about the industry. I've been putting on. So let's not get into that where we get into numbers and I gotta show you the statistics of what I've done. You heard to what other people was done. You heard them. You want to go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas Billboard entries, then pull up my Billboard entries.
Listen, we can't compare the two. What I'm trying to tell you is
I want to go there. I want to go down the line now because now we going down the line. He's a rapper and I'm a rapper.
Listen,
let's go statistically.
It feels great.
No, but I want to go statistically because when people be like,
I feel the same way. We all feel the same way.
And forget about the numbers. You heard? My numbers back up.
Let me step up to the forefront.
That was Jim's golden opportunity to play it cool. Maybe tip his hat to a legend. Maybe even check the youngins respectfully. Instead, he leaned in. He laughed and said, "These new kids don't even know Nas." Then doubled down saying his own influence is way bigger. Fat Joe tried to keep it diplomatic. Jadakiss sat there with that classic Jadakiss look, like he just heard someone say the dumbest thing alive but didn't want to start a war. You could practically see his soul leave his body for a second. Jim started flexing, talking about how kids learned their fashion from him. The BB Simon belts, the Harlem swagger, the whole Dipset drip.
Put it to you like this, Jim. Hey, bro, you been in this thing, but lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
y'all
but look how you dress.
Nas.
Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. The things that we listen to.
I can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, I know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas. You're not seeing Nas, bro. Let's be real.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than Nas.
It don't matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Ain't nobody from Dipset gonna take you over Nas.
He said the young generation gravitated toward him the same way his generation gravitated toward Nas back in the day. He tried to frame it like evolution, like Nas was his idol, but now he's the idol for the new era. And honestly, if he stopped there, it would have been whatever, a generational pride thing. But he didn't. He went all in. He started talking statistics, Billboard entries, Spotify streams, viral hits, top albums. He positioned himself like he's outpacing Nas in relevance.
Coming up and things like that.
I heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that, like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody else. Before I heard Jay do it, before I heard anybody else, like he changed the cadence of rap into a whole different steam. Like he's the one that broke the camel's back when it came to artists like, to me, when it came to artists like Big Daddy Kane and all these artists that came right before him. Like after Nas came with that, they started to fade out, and then Jay, Fat Joe, like all of these rappers that are spitting about the life that we was really starting to live right now and how it was changing. Like this is, you know what I mean? So that's how I felt about that whole little situation.
Acting like streaming numbers are the ultimate measure of greatness. The problem? The internet came for him fast. Nas fans pulled up receipts with military precision. They flooded the comments, posted side-by-side comparisons, and dragged Jim for even entertaining the thought. Nas has 27 Billboard 200 entries, 16 top 10 albums, and 6 number ones. Jim, 9 entries, 3 top 10s, and 0 number ones. Statistically, Nas has him outclassed 10 times over. And that's before you even get into the cultural impact of albums like Illmatic.
Diplomats know nobody else. Me, Jim Jones, check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries and like if you want to go to the Billboard entries, pull up Nas Billboard entries, then pull up my Billboard entries.
Can we address one thing though?
Go ahead.
Jim Jones has 9 entries in the Billboard 200 with 3 top 10 albums and no number ones, while Nas has 27 entries, 16 top 10 albums, and 6 that have reached number 1 on the Billboard 200.
Right now, 2025, I'm in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
You don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke.
Jim Jones is rapping at a high capacity right now in 2025. I'm on record as saying I think some of the best music that's been coming out of New York in recent years has been from Jim Jones. I haven't seen Nas in that mode. Nas still makes great music at a high level. I just haven't seen Nas in that, let's get active, getting at each other mode.
It was written or Stillmatic. Jim's bragging didn't just fall flat, it detonated in his face. He tried to use numbers to knock down a monument, and all it did was remind everyone how small he looks next to it. And it's not like Jim's history with Nas is clean either. This back and forth has deep roots. Back in the early 2000s, Nas called out Dipset publicly, mocking Cam'ron's Come Home With Me album and basically calling it trash. Cam responded over Nas's Hate Me Now beat, and a full-blown war popped off. Harlem versus Queens, Pride versus Legacy. For years, Dipset and Nas traded shots, interviews, and subliminals. And through it all, Jim was always the hype man throwing gas on the fire. He dragged Nas in interviews.
Jim Jones went on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's. Oh, look, a topic in a topic. Yeah. He went on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's podcast and had a lot to say about some dude on the internet that said Jim Jones is better than Nas and has more Billboard hits than Nas.
It was a young kid. I believe he was like 23 or something, 22, 23. And he was saying that for his generation, his era, they don't look at Nas. And a lot of people took offense to that. I personally did not take offense just because of the kid's age, of the generation.
It's like a sports conversation. Like the numbers are the numbers. But in New York City, with rappers, we don't necessarily go by that.
Yes, Travis Scott is the bigger act, more hits, more numbers, more. But to the rappers, don't nobody give a about what Travis Scott is talking.
Played the sidelines like a soldier ready for orders and kept his loyalty with Cam tight. But over time, something shifted. As Dipset's star dimmed, Jim started slowly pivoting, distancing himself from that old beef and inching closer toward Jay-Z's orbit. And that's where this gets real messy. Because Jim didn't just beef with Nas. He also had a long, bitter rivalry with Jay-Z himself. Jay used to clown Jim publicly. They went back and forth in the press. And the real breaking point came when Jay refused to make Cam'ron vice president of Rockefeller.
What's up with that Jim Jones, man? Hip hop, of course, is a competitive sport. But on the other end of it, it's like certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's like no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family. I was saying last night, it's like the 8th guy on the bench just screaming at Jordan, like, you a bum. Like, you want to be like the 9th guy on the bench. I'm not even worried about you.
That decision cracked the Harlem Rock relationship wide open. Jim took Cam's side, went at Jay with full force, calling him soft, claiming he wasn't really connected to the streets, and accusing him of locking Harlem out of the rock movement. And this wasn't just words. Jim actually fought one of Jay's close friends at a Louis Vuitton store in Manhattan back in 2008. This was real tension, not rap theatrics. He pled guilty to misdemeanor assault almost a year later. That fight proved his beef with Jay wasn't just for headlines, it was personal. So fast forward to now, and the same guy who once declared war on Jay is suddenly sitting on podcasts downplaying Nas and bigging up his own legacy while aligning himself with Jay's narrative. You can see why 50's calling him a puppet. The timeline is suspicious. Jim's talking like a man trying to rewrite his role in hip-hop history.
I'm still here. From whatever you painted the picture to me to being a hype man, or he wasn't the best rapper, or he just started to get whatever you want, a narrative you want to paint, you still got to listen to me talking to you right now in 2025. What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life. The last time he was in some shit like this where people were comparing is when him and Jay was beating on him.
But the receipts don't lie. He wasn't leading Harlem alone. He wasn't carrying the torch solo. Dipset had their moment, sure. Ballin' was a massive hit, yeah. But Nas was shaping culture while Jim was still finding his footing. And Nas, he didn't even need to clap back. His silence was louder than any response. Everyone in the room felt it. Jadakiss didn't even need to say a word. His face said it all. Nas is a certified legend. He doesn't need to argue numbers with Jim Jones.
I wasn't in the ad because of Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You see what I'm saying? Like, and I with M, because like with Nori he had communication. He said, yeah, I talked to the big homie. He was saying to Jay, he was telling me, the white boy wouldn't do the truth without 50.
I hit the homie, the big homie Jay-Z, right? And I told him to come pull up on me. And he pulled up on me and he said, the white guy called for 50 Cent. So I said, well, who's the white guy? I'm digging this Jimmy Iovine. He said, no, Eminem called directly for 50. And he said,
that's his guy.
He said, I can't do it if I can't bring 50 up.
But that's his guy.
Right? And I'm like, that's when I start saying crazy stuff, because I look and I go, oh, that's your big homie, right? And so he imaged himself after a gay painter. The big homie want to look like a gay painter.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about Basquiat. He wants to look like a gay painter.
Oh my God, I think I know where we're going with
So
this.
now look, what I'm saying to you is, look, when you start looking at, that's not mine, that's theirs, their Harper, right? But when you look at, M is looking at the entire legacy.
That's like Jordan arguing with the ninth man on the bench. Even media figures said it straight. Jim ain't on anyone's top 10 list. He's not even in the conversation lyrically. So when he starts barking at Nas, it looks less like competition and more like someone screaming for attention from the sidelines. And that's why 50 Cent's involvement hits different. He's not just stirring beef for fun. He's exposing what he sees as an industry play. 50's implying Jay-Z might be quietly pulling the strings, using Jim as a mouthpiece to chip at Nas's legacy from a distance without getting his own hands dirty.
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit. Well, as far as let's get this right. I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when we talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school.
It's classic power politics. Jim gets to trend, Jay gets a narrative shift, and Nas becomes the topic of debate, all while staying silent. Meanwhile, 50 plays the instigator, poking the bear and making sure the whole world's watching. Jim, on the other hand, doubled down. He said if Nas wants smoke, step in the booth. He positioned himself as the active New York rapper in 2025, claiming he's rapping at a higher capacity than Nas right now. Some commentators gave him props for his recent work, but let's be real. Nas has been dropping King's Disease, Magic, and collaborating with Hit Boy like he's in his second prime. Jim's claim might sound bold, but in the bigger picture, it looks like he's swinging at a wall that isn't even looking his way. And the irony? After all that beef, all that history, all those shots at Jay, Jim eventually circled right back to him. The same man he fought against became the man he leaned toward when his career needed a boost. It's poetic, in a twisted way. The Harlem kid who wanted to dethrone the king ended up kneeling at his feet, hoping for a deal, hoping for relevance. That's why people don't fully trust Jim. His loyalty shifts with the wind, and his sudden Nas slander feels less like honesty and more like strategy. It's like Jim's allergic to loyalty. No matter how many crews he joins or how many alliances he forms, he always finds a way to flip the script when it suits him. And that right there, that's exactly why 50 Cent has never respected him. In 50's eyes, loyalty is everything, and Jim's track record speaks louder than any bars he's ever spit. Jim tried to spin it differently though. In interviews, he puffed up his chest saying, "I'm still here from whatever picture you painted of me. Hype man, not the best rapper, late bloomer, whatever narrative you want. You still gotta listen to me talking to you in 2025. What I did for Nas has probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been this viral, ever." And to his credit, the buzz around his Nas comments did light a fire online. But let's be real, that kind of attention wasn't built on bars. It was built on drama. The last time Nas was dragged into a circus like this was way back in 2007, during the peak of the G-Unit versus Dipset beef. And that's when Jim really showed everyone the kind of moves he's willing to make. In a shocking twist, he popped up at a G-Unit event after 50 invited him. Everyone thought maybe there was a major deal about to go down. Nope, 50 wasn't recruiting, he was exposing. He brought Jim on stage just to show Cameron and the whole industry that Jim would do anything for a little spotlight. No contracts, no power moves, just a cold, strategic checkmate. Jim stood there like a pawn while 50 smiled like the king who set the trap. From that day forward, 50 saw him as weak, a man without a code. Fast forward to now, 50 and Jay-Z have been in a quiet Cold War for years, playing their own chess match behind the scenes. So when Jim went running back to Jay for a lifeline, that was it. He officially crossed enemy lines. The second that Roc Nation deal got inked, the air shifted. The alliance was loud, and the betrayal was even louder. 50 later explained that when Jay and the NFL were putting together that iconic Super Bowl halftime show, his name was mysteriously left out of the original ad. He said, "I wasn't in the ad because Jay-Z and them were putting it together. I think they still harbor some energy towards me." Then he broke down the behind-the-scenes calls, how Eminem personally demanded 50 be part of the show, telling Jay straight up that he wouldn't perform without him. "The white guy called for 50, Jay told NORE. "That's his guy." And that's the difference. When things got real, Eminem rode for 50 without hesitation. That's loyalty. Meanwhile, Jim was out here bouncing between enemies, chasing whatever alliance would keep him relevant. Not long after that Super Bowl moment, Jim suddenly started taking slick shots at Nas. Coincidence? 50 doesn't buy it for a second. In his eyes, Jay's been itching to stir that old Nas rivalry again. But instead of getting his own hands dirty, he's letting Jim swing the punches. That's classic Jay. Move silent, let someone else take the fall, then collect the win. When 50 caught wind of this little Jay-Jim alliance, he went straight to Instagram like a man grabbing his popcorn. Memes, captions, old clips, you name it. He clowned Jim for selling out and switching sides like a desperate free agent. He called him the industry's favorite puppet, hinting that Jay was pulling the strings behind the scenes to do his dirty work. 50's not just trolling either, he's deadly serious. He's been calling out Jay's quiet power plays for years. To him, this is just another example of Jay sending someone else to do his bidding while he stands back with that calm grin, acting like he's above the drama. The internet ran with it. Fans dug up old interviews where Jim gushed about Nas, calling him one of the greatest and crediting him as a major inspiration. Those clips spread like wildfire. Suddenly, the same guy who once said Nas shaped his hustle is now talking like Nas is beneath him. People weren't having it. Memes flooded timelines, painting Jim as two-faced. And Nas, he didn't even flinch. That's what hurts Jim's position the most. Nas is chilling, dropping timeless music, collecting Grammys, and moving like a legend. Meanwhile, Jim's out here chasing clout battles like a rookie looking for attention. 50, of course, is eating this up. He's been throwing darts at Jim at every opportunity. Sometimes subtle, sometimes direct, always sharp. He said straight up that Jim's the kind of guy who would diss a legend just to impress his boss. And once whispers started spreading that Roc Nation's PR team might have pushed Jim to stir the pot with Nas for buzz, the conspiracy flames roared higher. Think about it. Controversy equals clicks, and nobody plays the PR game better than Jay-Z. If 50's theory holds weight, Jim's not a mastermind, he's a pawn. And a disposable one at that. 50 being 50, he didn't stop at calling him out. He started leaking old stories. Times Jim allegedly begged for features, chased meetings, and got curved by heavy hitters. He's peeling away that tough Harlem image and showing people a man desperate to stay in rooms that never truly embraced him. What started as a few wild comments about Nas has now turned into a full-blown narrative war. Pride, legacy, power, and reputation all tangled up. Jim's out here trying to prove he belongs in the same sentence as legends, but every move he makes gives 50 another reason to drag him. And Jay? He's sitting back watching it all unfold like a chess grandmaster. Jay's whole career has been built on control. From borrowing Biggie's blueprint to freezing out Dame Dash, to keeping Cameron from shining too bright, he's perfected the art of silent dominance. And now, with Jim stirring the pot, Jay doesn't have to say a single word. He lets others get messy while he stays spotless. It's ruthless, but it's genius. That's why 50 doesn't rock with either of them. He moves on loyalty, not politics. Eminem stood by him when it mattered, and that bond runs deep. That's why he'll always ride for M. When Jay tried to block him, M didn't hesitate to risk the biggest stage in the world to stand by his friend. That's real. At the end of the day, streams fade, trends die, and hype dies down. But respect, that's forever. Jim might be making noise in 2025, but Nas built the foundation he's standing on. You can't troll your way into greatness. You build it with consistency, impact, and legacy. So now it's your turn. Whose side are you on in this wild saga? Team 50, Team Nas, Or do you think Jim's really standing on business this time? Drop your thoughts below, like the video, and make sure you subscribe for more, because trust me, this story is nowhere near finished.